Welcome to Off the Roster, brought to you by our founding partner, ProLine. Betting on ProLine is now easier than ever with their new app. Download it today and make things interesting. Happy April Fool's Day to everyone. I will not be putting a prank on either of you today because I don't want to see what your retaliation might be. Hello to the chat. Yeah, hello to the chat.
But she could actually just say that, bro.
Yeah.
We'll see in the next 59 minutes.
I feel like Cab would have the best prank ideas of the three of us.
I know, I'm a little scared for the next one.
I don't want that retribution either. I don't want that smoke. So
okay, I was like,
let's all be Switzerland.
Yeah, like they're all like a little terrified of what each other would do. We'll save that for another day when we make bets about who's going to lose something. We can bring back sardines. We had blue cheese we're all going to have, but thank you.
We are?
No.
Okay, good. Blue cheese is just
it's like, hey,
awful.
April Fools. No, it's too early. We'll vomit on air, so we don't need that for
nobody wants that.
Especially for the people listening. Like I almost fake threw up right now, but I stopped myself. But what is not a joke, we will have Bruce Boudreau on the show known as Cabbie to many to talk about what's happening in Leafs land. We're going to talk to Kristian Jack, known to many as KJ, about what happened in the world of soccer. Dan, we will get to your thoughts on that in a moment. But let's start off with Blue Jays. Some great news, but then also not great news. So Max Scherzer, fantastic on the mound. He was crazy as ever. He was Mad Max.
Was quality.
Nice.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. But Cody Ponce, diagnosis right now, it's a right ACL sprain. They're getting more doctors to review it with an MRI to see if there's a full tear for the final diagnosis, which means like he still might potentially get surgery. Schneider saying that the Jays are holding on to hope he can pitch again this year, but he will still miss significant time regardless. Your heart can't help but break for him. That is a tough break for him and for the Blue Jays, who can't have enough starting pitchers.
Nope. Clearly you cannot.
Yeah.
You guys were all being like, yeah, they got like 17 starting pitchers. They got everybody. And now it's like, they're all hurt. They're all hurt. It's okay. Kidding aside, for Cody Ponce, it's tough. 4 years trying to get back to Major League Baseball, and in his first start, he ends up with potentially a season-ending injury. So hopefully, the news is better than what it currently sounds like right now, and he will be able to pitch again at some point this year. But for the Blue Jays, like trying to manage your rotation now with Ponce out long-term, still no definitive timeline on you, Savage or Bieber or even Barrios. You're kind of like, all right, where are we going to for our next start? And all we know is somebody is starting on Sunday. We don't know who yet, but they're going to stay with the rotation as is, keep it lined up the way they want to, not, change it up because they have an off day on Friday. But that's kind of where this becomes a little bit worrying, as I was alluding to. One more injury,
man, come on, bro.
and you start wondering about the depth.
Come on, Dan. It's game 5.
Depth is a real thing.
No, that's true. That part is true. But when you said like who the next starter is, I'm like, isn't it Gossman tomorrow? Or Gossman today. Sorry, Gossman versus Kyle Freeland. But you're right. We're all gutted for Cody Ponce, and just can't imagine what this dude is going through. I remember speaking to Clay Thompson about he had ACL and I think Achilles like back to back, and he was out for the better part of 2 years, and that dude was just like he had to pull himself out of a dark place. So hopefully Cody doesn't descend there, but man, you're just by yourself or you're just with your physiotherapist every day, and you just have to really just try to think about, the better days are ahead. Better days are ahead as you're rehabbing and getting back into game shape. And we hope we do see him. Obviously, we see him in August or September, because we really want to know how he can help this team, and what fire he can bring as we at that time we'll be marching towards the postseason.
Oh, I know. Just not on any of our bingo cards. Definitely not his.
Seriously.
And I'm going to admit something right now. Normally, I will not take anything out of an interview. I don't want to censor anyone. I want them to be able to be themselves. But sometimes, I have to say something I took out of Cody Ponce's interview. It's the only thing I've taken out of an interview in a long time.
That we didn't see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I asked him, what do you think you're going to bring to this Blue Jays organization? And I know people want to say, he's going to bring the smoke. He's going to bring the heat. His answer was, I'm going to bring a smile. I mean, and you know what I mean? Like how people would react. Everyone would be like, that's what you're going to bring, blah, 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 blah. But that's just his mentality. Like he wanted to bring it. Obviously, he's going to bring a great game. He's going to try to pitch his best, but he wanted to bring also those good vibes. And so if you don't know anything about him, you hear that, your heart should break even more because he has such a positive outlook. He was so excited to get back in Major League Baseball, and I just I thought of that as soon as I heard the news. I'm like, man, the guy brought such good vibes. He was so excited for this. And like I said, this is now just going to be another part of his journey that you hope that he can stay positive, have the right people around him. I know the Blue Jays and most sporting organizations have mental health coaches and people dealing with that, even mental fatigue. I believe the Blue Jays have on their roster now trying to help people get through different things in their pitching or whatever it may be. But now we'll go to today. We wish him the best, Cody.
On to the next one.
On to the next. We got Ghazi on the mound. You know, I'm hoping for another win for them to end out.
I mean, the dude was lights out on opening day. It was just unbelievable. And Kyle Freeland is a crafty lefty, man. I was looking up. The last time he pitched in Toronto, 5 innings, seven hits, 4 earned runs. Mm-hmm. Couple of walks, 3 Ks, and his ERA was 13.21.
Oh boy!
So it was a 5-0 win for Toronto. This was April 14th, 2024. So almost 2 seasons ago. So Toronto tuned him up pretty nice, and I'm sure that's on his mind as he'll take the bump today and be on his own personal revenge tour.
I mean, the Blue Jays rotation is going to give a lot of people nightmares,
especially the top 3. I mean,
the way it's going right now, and with a lefty on the mound, we'll see a bit of a different lineup today. But I think one of the interesting things that's happened so far early this season, and is Jesus Sanchez. Mm-hmm. He seems like he's already started to. He's kind of taken the starting spot from Nathan Lucas against lefties early on this season. He's been given 3 straight starts after Lucas got the home opener. So against righties, it looks like Sanchez and that bat in the 2-hole is something John Schneider really likes. And why wouldn't you? The guy is hitting the lights out right now.
Lights out. Max Scherzer yesterday, 41 years old, 247 days, is the oldest Jays pitcher with a start of 6+ innings since R.A. Dickey 10 years ago. First of all, R.A. Dickey was here 10 years ago. Like, time flies, but it also seems like forever.
Yeah. Wow.
Do you remember the hype when they traded for R.A. Dickey?
Absolutely.
He just come off a Cy Young. So, I remember, And then
the Jays were the betting favorite for the World Series after they made that trade for R.A. Dickey and Jose Reyes.
Well, yeah, man, bro. We got crazy talent. And, and
that season ended up being a disaster. But,
in 2015?
2013.
Oh, 13, right. Sorry, because 15, we traded Reyes for Tulo, didn't we, in 15?
Yeah, in 15.
So
that was part of that big deadline. So that was, but in 2013, Anthopoulos made that big swing. But 10 years ago, R.A. Dickey, that's quite some time ago now.
You know who I'm curious if they could throw a nice knuckleball strike? It is none other than former NHL player and coach, Bruce Boudreau, who's joining us now.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
What's happening,
Good morning
Cabbie?
to you. How are you?
Oh, we got to get some audio fixed up with.
We can't hear
Bruce
you
Boudreau.
right now.
We can't hear him right
so
now.
maybe you're potentially.
I like that the glasses
muted.
came
I
on.
love the glasses.
That knows he means business. He's like, let me sort this out.
We'll get his audio sorted out.
So
with,
I'll tell you what
Nick
you
here
have
in the
to do.
meantime.
You'll have to, if it possibly says you're muted, you just have to reconnect, and we'll have our producer Nick deal with it. That, and I can't wait to see those shades. I bet you he could throw a mean pitch. In Cabbie we trust. In Cabbie we trust. But I remember that hype around R.A. Dickey so much because my husband is not a sports enthusiast, which surprises a lot of people. He's a musician.
Yin and yang.
Yeah, he's a musician. He's awesome. All this other stuff. And he couldn't get over the knuckleball that he threw, and so he's like, I'm locked in. And so he would watch any
how slow
start.
it was.
Yeah, and he just was fascinated by it because there was also a documentary that came out about R.A.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
And so he's like, I'm locked in. He was like tuning in for every pitch and game that he started, and that's how it is right now with him and Big Oak.
Oh yeah,
So,
Okamoto. Yeah, did he have a hit last night?
He did.
Yeah. He is only one of 2
that
players to have hits in every game so far.
Probably with Jimenez too, right?
Yeah.
Imagine. Yeah, it was part of that 7th inning rally, and I tried to extend it to 3rd, and I got called. But yeah, Jays had 5 hits in that 7th 7th inning, and that was like and Sanchez I think was the one who got started if I remember correctly. It was Sanchez, then Okamoto, then Vladdy, and then Lucas and Clement. And Clement, and shout out to your guy Clement. The only extra base hit that we had in the game was 14 hits and extra base hit. It was a double off the wall there.
That's Blue Jays baseball, man.
I mean, they can kill you in a bunch of different ways. But 14 hits in the game, 5-1. It was nice to see. So like Okamoto, just like I guess the first time I really saw his wheels. Looking like one of us out there. But still a major leaguer.
My
so we still have
wheels,
huge respect
definitely Kirky, and I know he's not had a good time at the plate so far. But what will kill people today? Well, I'll take that all day, every day. Is that it's a day game. I believe it starts just after 1 p.m. So everyone knows, because it's a different start time, and it's
getaway day.
Going
to Chicago.
It's Kids Day. Kids are fine for people that like kids, but it's going to be so loud in there. So I'm just trying to prep people.
Stars.
Yeah, I'm just trying to prep people who are going to the game thinking it'll be like, hey, I'm going to call into work. I'm going to play a little bit of hooky, have a couple brewskis, and they're going to be like
Wednesday at the office. The office
yelling
is
in their ear. Oh my God, I love you.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Wouldn't
to everyone.
you be in fear of like getting the Elaine Bennis treatment if you like played hooky on?
I don't know who that is.
Seinfeld?
Oh my God.
Wasn't a show for me.
Okay.
I'm happy to say I've seen an episode, and it was the final one.
I'll set the scene for you.
That's how I was with Breaking Bad. I only saw the last episode.
Oh, geez, Louise.
I think there's someone. No, I was going to say Jesse. Is there someone named Jesse in that show?
Jesse Pinkman.
Okay. Sorry, Dan.
Elaine Bennis.
The storyline goes, she goes to a Yankees game, and she's wearing an Orioles hat, so she sticks out like a sore thumb. And everybody ends up seeing that she was at the Orioles game in this Orioles hat. And,
she was playing hooky.
She was playing hooky from work, and it gets put on blast.
Did you see Bassett trying to throw the runner out at home the other day?
No.
It wasn't good. He missed so bad.
It might have been the worst throw home I've ever seen.
Where was he? like at the mound?
It was just a comebacker.
He was closer to home plate, and he whips it, but it goes so far past.
Geez.
It looked like 50 Cent's pitch.
He just yanked it. And
I'm a huge fan of Seabass, but I saw that, I was like, oh no. That's going to be one of those misplays of the month on any show in the States or whatever.
It's going to be a bad blooper reel for him. I was seeing Scherzer go yesterday and pitch as well as he did. I know the age part of it with Scherzer is a huge factor, and when they initially signed him, it was like, how's this all going to fit? They're going to have too many arms. And now, like, he is imperative to this team. He is imperative to this rotation. He looks healthier. The velo was there.
Yeah, the velo's up 3 miles an hour.
Yeah, so everything was ticking the box. He didn't have this like thumb thing that was bothering him like it was a year ago at the start of last season. And I mean, we're not going to see like peak Max Scherzer, but he definitely looks like somebody that's going to be a huge part of this Jays rotation, and somebody that they can rely on even more than they did a year ago.
And mentor Max will also play a factor with like some of the young guys, and just even some of the other pitchers too. I mean, the guys, as we know, is going to walk into Cooperstown whenever, 5 years after he retires on the first ballot. So my expectations are a lot lower than yours, or more measured because of his age. But I mean, yesterday was March 31st, and he looked great. But August 31st or September 30th. July 31st, we'll see if he still has that magic. And hopefully he does. We're
going to have Bruce on in a moment. I just am going to be selfish and make this moment about me for a second, because I know people are really upset in Leafs land about the conversation that Keith Pelley had yesterday. I'm wearing blue today, which is being pointed out in the chat. It's Wednesdays. On Wednesday, we wear pink. First Wednesday show, I've never wore pink. You guys still have not got onto this. I know I was going to get you guys like a matching pink jumpsuit so we could all be the same. Yeah, like
mine better be a 3X.
But that was like, I was
Omar the tent maker to make mine.
I was going to get us all the same size. Yours would be like,
oh my gosh,
end up being like short shorts.
No, I'm good.
You're good. But I thought of that. But the reason I'm wearing blue is it's a first world problem for those listening or watching for the first time. Thank you for all our new viewers and the OGs. I am the sideline reporter for Raptors 905. Yesterday, they had their first playoff game in 4 years with the G League playoff format. The first 2 rounds are one and done. They put up a fight, but they lost. I am legit sad today to Motor City Cruise, which is Detroit.
Oh,
and they were also hitting it from 3. And at one point, the 905 were 7 of 27 from beyond the arc. I'm like, please stop shooting it. But it's one of those moments, like, the team never comes back the same the next year. Like, in this sense, in G League, you're lucky if you get one player return. This year, we had 2. So this is why I am wearing blue. I'm sad for those guys. They were a lovely group that had a historic season starting off 14-0. They lost in the Showcase Cup final, and then unfortunately they lost in the playoffs. But it's the same thing for the Jays, and I am not the problem with the teams I cover keep losing. No big moments.
I think Dan's the problem, no?
Dan is the problem. But when you're surrounded by, like, nice people and you can't help but root for them, and you just see them, like, not make where they want to go, you're just like, oh.
This outfit is wonderful. Now, it would have been the final piece, the final accoutrement would have been Keith Pelley's glasses.
Yes.
With this particular shade
blue
of
glasses,
blue.
yes.
Yeah, I first of all appreciate that. I will say I appreciate Keith Pelley having multiple shades and multiple colors of his glasses, which who was it that pointed out that he matches them?
David Alter.
Yeah.
Friend of the show, David
friend
Alter.
of the show. To every background.
I'm not going to lie, Lindsay. I thought you were trolling me today with the blue outfit.
Oh, I'm
like
not
wearing a Azzurri blue after Italy lost to Bosnia yesterday.
That, yeah. So wait, Italy lost to Bosnia.
Yeah.
Keith Pelley's press conference
with his blue glasses.
Cody Ponce's
injury.
How are you? How are you feeling?
Today's kind of been a struggle. We were crying tears of espresso last night in Woodbridge. It just felt like it would be the most unique experience as somebody who grew up Italian Canadian and always cheered for Italy, but really being a patriot of Canada where I've grown up and made my life now, and to have the opportunity to have those worlds collide on June 12th at Toronto Stadium would have been, to me, like one of the coolest things ever. It's not about cheering for Italy. It's not about anything like that. I still would have been all about Canada on June 12th, but I just selfishly, I really wanted that entire experience, especially, with the large Italian flavor that Toronto does bring. But shout out to the boss, because he's going to get to see Bosnia.
Bosnia-Herzogovina, yeah.
Shout out the
June
boss.
12th.
So there's Italy, that poor result for you guys, and then
3 straight World Cups. How do you miss 3 straight World Cups?
We're gonna get to Kristian Jack a little bit later. And then how did you experience the Keith Pelley press conference yesterday, bro? You went to it, right?
I did not end up. I did not end up going. With the afternoon being just having a lot going on. It was okay. So your worryometer on the Leafs should already be at a 10 with where their current situation is at. It should be like at a 12, 13, 1,500 after watching
70,000.
What? Why?
I mean, it is on overdrive right now, just how much that terrified me listening to Keith Pelley speak yesterday in that news conference. There was nothing that provided confidence. Okay, I shouldn't say that. There was a glimmer of hope, which I will get to, that provided a light at the end of the tunnel for the future. But it starts off, and you're saying that you're not meddling. You're denying reports of meddling into how the front office was working. Would have been better left off without any of that. You're referencing Buffalo and Montreal and how internally you didn't see that coming. Like, Montreal made the playoffs last year. The Buffalo Sabres have been collecting first overall picks like people tried to collect Wayne Gretzky rookie cards back in the day. Eventually, the talent was going to show out. Everybody knew it. But even that doesn't really matter because you stunk. As a team, you're the second worst team. Okay, so sorry, Florida is still below them. Third worst team in the Eastern Conference. It doesn't matter if Buffalo and Montreal are good. You're nowhere near good enough to be a playoff team. It's not like you're going to miss the playoffs by a point or two. You're going to be 20 points out. Close to that, or 15 at the very least. So to me, the whole Buffalo-Montreal thing is irrelevant. Yeah. And it also goes back to starting this news conference like, I didn't get into this to be a scout. And then you're naming off 17 Habs and Buffalo Sabres prospects. Yeah. Like, thanks, you're red elite prospects. That's great. That doesn't help anybody. So going further than that, Now you're looking at Toronto FC and using that as a model of how you've turned around, how Toronto FC has turned around under your stewardship as MLSE CEO. Like, I'm sorry, book's still out on that. You're only 5 games into the new season, and the team's 2-2-1. Like, what are we striving for? 500? That's not good enough. Sorry. Sample size is a thing, and that's not yet at a point where I can call it a success. All of these things, incredibly frustrating to hear from the MLSE CEO yesterday. And the glimmer of hope, I did like hearing you want the next guy to be data-driven. Data-driven was a success of the Shanahan era and Kyle Dubas. People don't want to hear it, but it was part of their success that they were a more data-driven front office. It was maybe too far sometimes, but now they've gone too far away from that and they're paying for it. So that was a sign of hope. And ultimately, Keith Pelley needs to be the business guy that handles those things, and they can hand this over to somebody to just run the hockey team, because the sooner that happens, the better it's going to be for Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment.
I'm opposite. When you said glimmer of hope, first of all, when it comes to technology, data-driven, Brucey, our buddy Cabbie, unfortunately, we're having technical issues, so he will not be on today. We'll try again in the future. But when I heard the data-driven stuff, I'm like, are we trying to moneyball this shit? I am not okay with this. I'm like, I understand in some places it works, and they do have a great department and system already with the Leafs, but that hasn't already pushed them over the edge to have a great team. When I heard the data thing, I'm like, no, because it kind of contradicts like the culture thing you're putting up there. What the hell does that, how is that going to help your culture by going by a bunch of data and numbers and all this other stuff? When he kept saying the buzzwords, alignment, culture, and structure over and over and over again, I'm like, I don't think there is a plan in place for this. Shanna plan was better than no plan. And my worryometer is usually pretty low. After I watched that presser and TFC was used as a positive example, it's like, am I in the freaking Twilight Zone? Is this an April Fool's joke before April Fool's? Like, don't get me wrong. This is a job that is hard, but I could not do it, nor would I want to. But I was really worried after hearing it and seeing it. And here is just a little bit of the presser. Here's what Keith Pelley had to say.
Keith, just wanted to follow up on your desire for a data-centric candidate. There's probably only been one data-centric GM in NHL history, and Eric Tulsky works in Carolina. So I'm wondering, are you willing to hire someone who's never been a GM before in order to fulfill that desire?
All depends on what the structure is. Yeah, I think it's safe to say, and Eric Tulsky is obviously has a very decorated background in terms of data, and he certainly has a level of intelligence that is beyond the norm in that particular area, and especially AI. AI is massive. It is changing our business. The whole thing with data is everyone now has access to data, and everyone's going to have access to AI. It really comes down to how you utilize it. Now,
Wow.
Yeah, actually, you know what? A quick thought. Because we had Jeff Merrick on yesterday, and he was singing the praises of Florida's front office. I don't know, because we're in baseball mode, and I keep saying front office and football too.
We get you.
Yeah. But he said Sonny Mehta and Brett Peterson, both heavy analytics or gentlemen known for their analytical approach to the game. So I was like, oh, well, man, are we like, how big is the check that MLSE is going to write to put on the table across an assistant general manager or even a general manager, slide that across, like, will you come work for us? And hearing data center, like, I went to, just because Merrick is an encyclopedia. So I was actually kind of delighted by that response. I'm like, okay, and Michael Lewis's book, Moneyball, and Billy Bean and Sabermetrics, that changed baseball for sure, and it had ripple effects into basketball because Daryl Morey was a disciple of Michael Lewis's book Moneyball. So, like, could we see it in hockey in a broader sense? Maybe it's that era. And so I was politely surprised. But also, okay, and I have a question for you because I didn't see the press conference. Yeah. Did he mention, will there be a president of hockey operations in place and a general manager, or is that still undecided? This is
part of the other problem. It's still undecided. Like as you hear in that clip, like the structure depends on the structure. It's like, so we got no answers. Okay, so you've decided on this. You've made the decision. You're moving on from Brad Treliving, but you don't know exactly how you want to approach this yet. You're probably going to hire a firm that's going to decide all that. It's just
McKinsey or something.
Yeah,
and here's a bill for $12 million where you can just ask, Merrick, like, who's your or Elliot,
let's get the consultants in here so they can tell us Doug Armstrong should be the guy.
Right,
okay,
right,
thanks. Yeah. The guy who was just running Team Canada. Okay, it probably didn't need the consultant agency to do that. It's frustrating that they still didn't outlay a plan. This is one of the things that we were frustrated about with Brad Treliving over the last little while. Like, there's going to be a plan in place. Like, clearly you don't have a plan in place, and that is frightening. And still, the CEO does not have a plan in place. If anything, he said a bunch of times, like, there's no one right way, which is basically just a fallback to say, like, maybe we don't hire a president, or we hire a president and GM, and that's one guy. Cool. What I do know is there is a wrong way, and the wrong way is whatever's happening right now. And since you let go of Brendan Shanahan as president of this hockey club, things have gone downhill. That's not to say that they should have kept Shanahan. Maybe time had run out on that, but not replacing Shanahan has clearly been a misstep for this group, and something they should be learning from in this current moment. And showing up, and as the chat is pointing out some of the other buzzwords that were thrown out there. One of the things, as Denim Underpants points out.
Best name ever. Hold on. Let's just thank you to the amazing name. Denim Underpants. It hurt. On a hot, sweaty day. Let's go. Sorry.
There was a line. Their verticals are on why the season didn't have success. And instead of going into any sort of detail that would make sense to literally anybody, he said the verticals weren't horizontally integrated enough.
I heard that. I honestly thought I was day drinking and I was not drinking.
Is that parody?
Are we at a some kind of business conference? I don't know. Saying this stuff in front of a bunch of sports writers is just the most incredible contrast I could have possibly imagined. Their verticals weren't horizontally integrated enough. Thanks, Keith. How does that help the summer off season for the Toronto Maple Leafs? That's what we really want to know.
I forgot about that.
I get it. He's a business guy, and I'm not going to ever take down what Keith Pelley has accomplished as a business person, as a sports business executive in general, running the European PGA Tour, running Sportsnet for a while, or being a big part of Sportsnet, being a big part of the Argos back in the day. The guy has accomplished a lot in the sports business area, but he needs to get his hands out of the cookie jars and let hockey people run the hockey team, basketball people run the basketball team, soccer people run the soccer team, and football people run the CFL team. So the sooner that happens for the Maple Leafs and the rest of MLSE, the better it's going to be.
This is, and I'm not defending Keith Pelley, but I wonder, and I don't have any institutional information or knowledge, but I wonder, since the Blue Jays feel like they're the jewel in the crown, and they committed to $300 million plus Vladdy's $500 million last year. They're all the chips are in the middle of the table. Bring home a championship, because the halo effect will be positive, reverberate positively. Goodness gracious, and the other facets of the business, which is Rogers is a communications company. But I wonder if Keith is saying, hey, we want a data-driven leader, and maybe sabermetrics is at play, that to me says, okay, we're gonna scale back some things, and we're gonna try to find the oh my gosh, who was the first baseman in the 0-2? No, it was oh my gosh, Jeremy Giambi. But who was the star of Moneyball in
Scott Hatterberg.
Scott Hatterberg. It's can we find the versions of Scott Hatter, even though they had Miguel Tejada, who was and they had Mark Mulder and Tim Hudson and who am I thinking, Barry Zito. Yeah. But are they scaling back in other ways, with the Toronto Raptors, or with I guess TFC or with. I mean, the Blue Jays are not, but like
there's been enough written about it that the cash isn't flowing as freely within.
And obviously,
MLSE.
we've seen empty seats in Scotiabank because people don't want to pay for that product because the product is woefully underachieved. So I'm like, maybe this is, again, I have no institutional knowledge. I'm just wondering, like, if this is part of this guy's mandate to, set expectations a little bit lower. We're not going to go get the big splash name, but we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next 2 weeks.
Well, they also made it very clear to whomever is applying for the position, rebuilding is not an option.
Yeah.
Not for your captain, I don't think.
I wanted to ask you guys because yesterday he was basically asked about tanking, and said he has no part of that. He's been very public about saying he does not agree with it, and I know a lot of Leafs fans were pissed off hearing that from him because they're like, you don't want to get that top 5 pick back, and he's like, no. Which, my side of this, I hate tanking. I don't like it for any sport. It happens in every sport, as we've discussed. But hearing that from him, I was really curious both of your reactions.
In fairness, no organization is going to admit to
True. Yeah.
But he is staunchly against it. I actually believe it from him because of how much he's spoken out of how much he hates it.
And it's clearly a business objective that they're not going to entertain a full scorched earth rebuild as they did when Brendan Shanahan came in place. If you're applying for or you're hoping to be a candidate for this job with the Maple Leafs, it's pretty clear from everything Keith Pelley said yesterday, maybe you're not putting your best foot forward if your plan or your PowerPoint presentation includes a 5-year full-scale rebuild for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that's clearly off the table.
I think you also have to say that for your captain too, because he's going to get a few clips sent to his phone. Yeah, and I would be willing to bet a large amount of money that he's not interested in a rebuild. They look at Boston as having that 1-year retool, and that's the model. They don't have the same personnel, obviously, same roster construction, but I would imagine for people in that dressing room, that is the goal for next year. Is quickly turn this thing around, and then all systems go.
When we talk about putting their best foot forward, KJ, known to many, but Kristian Jack.
Let's go! Good morning. Good morning.
Joins us now. OneSoccer's VP of Media and Content, wearing and repping a great hoodie, Milano Cortina 2026. Thank you for being here today. When we talk about Italy, our pal Dan's pretty sad today.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, like I said earlier, KJ, all of Woodbridge is crying tears of espresso right now.
Yeah, I thought of you, mate. Sorry, I'm actually wearing a hoodie because I was outside in a ridiculous storm yesterday for about, I don't know. Well, I was there for the 11 a.m. game, which got 2 lightning delays, and then I left BMO Field at 1 a.m. So I need a hoodie this morning.
Yeah, I need to talk about this. Do you own a helicopter by a chance? Because the traffic is trash during any soccer game there or football, but when World Cup, you're going to need that to fly in and out of that area.
Yeah, I definitely don't have one of them. I have some tidbits of where you need to park and then let the traffic go a little bit. And by the time I walk out of BMO Field last night, I think a lot of the fans were tucked in their beds. So thankfully it was fine.
Well, we hope you warm up and we hope Dan stops crying tears of espresso. But with Italy missing out on their 3rd straight World Cup after in a shootout loss, sorry, had to bring that up. Does Italy not making it in Canada's pool kind of change their outlook at all for Canada?
Yeah, dramatically. I think we were watching the game at BMO Field last night, and it was, we're all in the business of storytelling. There was a real irony that the moment that Italy lost the penalty shootout, Canada arrived at BMO Field on the bus to play the game, and they were watching it on the bus, the players. So you had this scene of Canada arriving at the stadium with everybody else watching in the game inside the stadium of who they would be playing the next time they arrived to drive on the bus to the same stadium on June 12th. So, look, I think it's dramatically different. I felt like a lot last night when I was talking to people immediately after it happened. We had this, how do I say, very Canadian way of saying, oh, well, Bosnia-Herzogovina, they're a good side. We can't take them lightly. And, oh, well, they're probably better than Italy. They just beat Italy. And, everyone's playing it safe. It's all nonsense, guys. Look, they're a good side, but this is a huge, huge help for Canada. We can talk about Italy's failures all we want, but they've got better players than the Bosnian side. They're ranked a lot higher for a reason. And I believe if they got to the World Cup, some of those world-class players who played in Champions League finals would have really stood forward and performed well at that World Cup. Not to say Bosnia can't, but as I said, it's a huge different opponent. And I think expectations for Canada and pressure ramps up now in a group where people will expect them to get through.
Yeah, and it's still going to be a celebration of soccer in the game here in this country. How much it's grown, and to host a World Cup still going to be amazing, even if some of the Italian Canadian population is not the happiest today. But maybe it'll be a little bit cheaper to get into that June 12th game on a resale ticket.
Probably not.
Probably
yeah,
not.
maybe
Yeah,
not.
no.
Maybe not. So as far as Canada goes, though, these two matches here, KJ, what did you take away from them? Obviously, they end up in two draws and not the full team available for Jesse Marsch's selection. But what did this tune-up feel like for you, for Canada setting up to the World Cup?
Yeah, it's so strange, mate. Like, it's like we build them up. Like, I spent almost like 16 hours a day with these guys, like a lot of the hotel doing sit downs to get to know them. So from our point of view, it's extremely beneficial for me as an analyst, as a storyteller, to tell those stories. And then the games come in, it's almost like, okay, your brain's on and you're like, what am I learning? What am I learning? What do I need to learn? And I find like that you're not actually learning as much at this point. Like this March window comes after a long winter where they haven't played since November under Jesse as a senior international. So there's things where you're looking at and, okay, they're a little bit off here. They've not played under him for a while. They take a long time to get going. And in the end, I think the positives remain and the questions remain the same. You know, can they score from open play more? Can they create more opportunities to score against teams that defend very well? How can you break down teams? The integration of players like Marcelo, Flores was very exciting last night. But again, the questions remain. How can you score, and when are they going to get their best players back? Because as of right now, they're missing a ton of top players. And their hope and Canada's hope is that the likes of Alphonso Davies, Alistair Johnston, Stefan Eustáquio, Moise Bombito, and others will be back to play that opening game of the World Cup. So if that's the case, then you're analyzing a different side right now than you're going to expect to see at the World Cup.
Yeah, and that was maybe one of my bigger takeaways is like, okay, they need their first choice players to get back and healthy for the World Cup. Who helped or hurt their chances of making the World Cup roster? Talking about, I guess, players on the bubble. Who helped or hurt their chances the most?
Well, I mean, I think an audience like you guys, and you did a great job. I think someone like Marcelo Flores is someone that people need to know about in this country. So Marcelo Flores is a player who was born in Georgetown and grew up playing in the Ontario GTA area and the Halton region, in Guelph as well as Burlington a little bit. And then his obviously soccer crazy family. His dad was a coach, went to the Cayman Islands to coach there, took Marcelo as a young teenager, and he was a really good player, and then got spotted out there by an English team called Ipswich Town that then obviously put him through their academy. The whole family moved to England for a while. His sisters became professional players. He moved from Ipswich to Arsenal and played at the highest level of the academy aside from the first team, got on the first team bench when Mikel Arteta was there at the beginning of his tenure. And then obviously to a Mexican father, played a lot for Mexico in the youth academies and decided to play for Mexico. And I sat down with Marcelo, and there's a lot of controversy online and a lot of noise about this. And the interview caused a lot of headlines in Mexico because of what he had to say. And obviously there's a lot of emotion. I understand it. But just imagine being somebody in your early 20s, and you've got a connection on your mother's side from England. You've got a connection and a very strong family lineage to Mexico who are obsessed with the football game. And this is not a hobby for this team, for this family. It's a culture. And you were born in Canada. You know, it's difficult for a young man to say, okay, where do I feel? And so he went the Mexico route for a while, didn't necessarily feel like he belonged there. And Jesse Marsch campaigned hard without really telling him what to do, left it to him. And then Marcelo made the decision to come to this camp and finally play for Canada. So I think it's a real win for Canada because he's a very different kind of player. He's got that technique of a Mexican player. He strikes the ball very well. He did so much last night in the final third that we don't see from some of the other Canadian players. His pressing lanes are very different. And he's got that toughness from that UK style of academy where he gets pushed around a lot and he's okay. He's got a great positive attitude, plays for Tigres in Mexico. So he's the one name, Dan, that when you ask that question, I come to the fore for me, because I believe he has to be on that World Cup roster and he'll be playing significant minutes.
Nice, KJ. It's great to see you. And salute to you. I was watching your interview with Marcelo Flores from last night. And yes, I'm surprised you don't have pneumonia this morning, because it was still a downpour or still raining while you were speaking with him after the match. When significant members of the senior team are not available in this March window and are not playing massive numbers for their European clubs, 50 matches, flying across the Atlantic 3 or 4 times in the season, what argument could be made that the timing of this and players returning for June can be a benefit for Canada? You listed a few players that were not available, but can this benefit for Canada come June 12th?
Great question, mate. It can, but there's a balance. So let's take Alistair Johnston. So Alistair Johnston is a player that, as you alluded to, in the past has played 50 games per season. And when I met with him last year at the Gold Cup in the summer, to be frank, was burned out. And but played too many matches. There was a time during that time where he played back-to-back seasons where he went from MLS straight to Europe and never had any time off. And time off for him is like 10 days in a year. So if he is back, which we expect this month, and now I believe it's April, so he's going to come through and play games for Celtic and hopefully go on and win trophies. That will mean that, and he's told me this, when he starts the World Cup, and I believe he will be in a far better physical condition than he would be if he'd played a full season. Now, of course, you want match fitness, and that's the balance that I alluded to. So you take someone like Alphonso Davies. Alphonso Davies, if he's able to get over this consistent injury setbacks and gets back for Bayern, and like Alistair wins trophies, when he begins that World Cup, they are not coming off an enormously grinding season where they're beyond exhausted and they've got so many minutes in their legs, 4,000 minutes, 50-plus games, whatever they may be. That threshold where people in those industries, in the departments, those clubs get concerned. So that benefits. The other aspect is, okay, what about a Moise Bombito? What about a Derek Cornelius? These kind of key players for Canada. Are they going to play at all? Are they going to play enough? So that's the other aspect of it. But to answer your question specifically around the benefits, I think that's what really comes to mind.
Well, I'm going to keep a positive attitude. So thank you. You actually filled my cup there. And those guys will
We're all
be
about
returning
positivity, me and you, mate. Always.
1,000%. All 4 of us. Last night after the game, Canada's goalkeeper, Maxime Capot, said the World Cup is arriving very fast. And he also said Bosnia was pretty much a team that was most in form of the 4 that could have been a possibility. They're going to be a very tough opponent. What should Canadians and casuals like myself and Lindsay, Dan is more of an expert, what should we know about the Bosnia-Herzogovina squad?
Well, he's right. They almost automatically qualified before through the playoffs. In fact, they were like 15 minutes away before Austria stole their position in their group. So they are not going to be a pushover. I want to make sure that I think Canada understands that when we know that we've avoided Italy, we're not going to be running in the streets celebrating that we've got some easy opponent. But that's not the Canadian way. I think we are, in a way, show our true humility anyway, and we're never going to be a point where the media, the team, any kind of marketing or promotion around it where it's going to go, okay, this is a pushover. They're a good side. They're a big side. They cross the ball well. They're physical. They're, as Jesse alluded to last night, extremely patriotic. They've missed these spots. We could talk about Italy's crushing blows. This team's missed World Cups and playoffs, Euros many times in the past. They get their chance again. So they will not be an easy opponent. However, I still think that this is a team that Canada should be thinking they can beat. And with the pace that Canada have, I think they can cause them problems. It's the kind of thing that Bosnia don't see too much in European qualifying. And so if you can get Alphonso Davies, Tejan Buchanan, Richie Larea, and others on that pitch, then I think you can use that pace to be able to exploit them. But no, it will not be easy. And it'll be, I just think that it's a better opportunity for Canada to avoid a loss in a World Cup where they've not ever won a game in that opening match. And if they get a draw, then they go into the second game against Qatar thinking, we win this, we've got 4 points after 2 games, and we get through to the next round.
Yeah, we definitely don't want any losses. We'll take some draws, but we don't want any losses. We actually like a first win would be great, and to score more than 2 goals in the group stage. I've known you. I think we've known each other for about 20 years, and I know that you're a student of the game. So which Canadian player do you think will most likely become a tactical nerd like you, Kristian Jack, when they retire?
Wow. Tactical nerd. Well, I mean, Jonathan Osorio is extremely smart when it comes to this stuff. I was delighted he got on the pitch again. You know, we're talking here in a Toronto audience, and he just gets a huge applause every time he comes on. And Osorio could go on, I think, to coach. He's got that ability to, I think, bring people together, and he's got a quiet, assured confidence, and he can, you know, he's not necessarily a rah-rah guy, but his brain is superb when it comes to football. That's what a lot of midfielders. Stefan Eustáquio is another one to come to mind when I listen to your question. A lot of the central midfielders have that kind of ability to read a game very well and you know, break things down. And when I speak to these players, I love the ability to learn from them. And the moment they come off the field, just imagine, it blows my mind. Imagine playing in central midfield with the game all around you and playing at a high level 90 minutes and then being able to take a huge 360 view of it. The moment you're given, like someone like me sticks a microphone up your chin, like 2 seconds after the game, and you can review everything tactically without having to watch the game and hit. You know, I think that is what separates some of those players from the best.
All right, Osorio, future tactical nerd in the broadcast booth or managing a squad. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. You guys, I like your set, by the way.
Yeah, it's looking pretty sharp.
We welcome you anytime, bro.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you don't have to spend 97 hours outside freezing.
And when you get that helicopter.
Yeah, when you get the helicopter.
It would be an honor to join you guys.
I do have one more for you, KJ, on Jesse Marsch, who I couldn't believe he had to walk that comment about the Italy jerseys back a little bit, which people can be overly sensitive, but it is what it is. And I've always liked his brash sort of mentality, because I feel like Canadian soccer has kind of needed it somewhat. And he said it again and reiterated it this week. You know, we're going to be at home and we're going to go after teams. And I'm curious how you feel about Canada's mentality going into games and continuing to want to be aggressive, because, you know, we're sort of Canada, they might not be very good at soccer. They should probably just defend as best they can. And that's not Jesse Marsch's mentality at all.
It is not. I've got a lot of time for him. He is, I think, as when you and I've done leadership chats with him a few times now in different places. The first thing that you need to be as a top leader is you need to be authentic to who you are. And I think that's what makes him a transformational leader and not a transactional leader. And that's why, you know, people can sit here and think about, okay, tactically, he's got another job to do now to get that team over the line. But when it comes to bringing people together, being the face of the team, whether he likes it or not, he is. The ability to bring that kind of motivation into the side, and there is a collective togetherness about it. They're all playing for him. That is very unique at this level. The team, the players tell me all the time that, you know, the ability to put the team before themselves. If they don't get to start, they can come on. It's all about Canada, and it's all about the team, the name on the front and not the name on the back. And he's inspired that team to be able to do that. So, look, yes, sometimes I think he's overly kind in his words. His press conferences for us are remarkable. He gives us way more than we'll ever need. That's relevant because I think for people who are watching this and getting to know Jesse, they're going to find more of that, and he is going to become a major story in the World Cup. As I said, ultimately his job is to break down teams and tactically improve his side. But he is, I think, a gift to this country in terms of being that true leader. And just before I came on, I heard you talking about Keith Pelley and the Leafs, and I just feel that, and as someone who's sat in management meetings and been in management for a few years myself, far too many people drop lines like ecosystems and different things when they speak management speak, because they are used to speaking in boardrooms. And when they come to connecting to fans, they can't do that, and they can't change their mind to be able to do that as a true communicator. And what Jesse has allowed them to do is listen to somebody that relates to players and, quite frankly, ordinary folk, and not people with blazers and suits and ties on. And I think that's really important in our game as people start to relate to him and get to know him and the players.
Man.
Love that.
I love that. I also could listen to you talk all day, so it's great you do what you do.
Facts, bro.
I'm going to end with a really smart, intelligent question that has to do with soccer or football. What did you think of Canada's debut of the black ice kits yesterday?
I like black ice kits. I like them. I mean, the back of the kit's a little weird. They've got like a red stripe at the back, and then when you look at them, it looks almost like a basketball side parts of the shirt because it's like a split thing with like a sleeve. But no, I like the kits. Every credit. This has been a bone of contention amongst the Voyageurs and a lot of passionate Canadian fans for some time that they've been asking, for better quality and better kits. So I like them. I think now that they will play with that kit at some point, but Jesse Marsch appealed to us in the press conference this week, and I think the clip went quite viral, that he wants, even if they're playing in black, he wants red outs at the World Cup, so he wants everyone wearing red in the seats. And back to your original question off the top, no doubt about it. Now, Italy are not here. That does help fill that stadium full of red on June 12th against Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Yes.
Very true.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, KJ, we appreciate your time. Go have a warm shower or bath or whatever happens in life.
Get some tea, bro.
And go get that helicopter. We can't wait to have you in studio. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Keep up the great work. Pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
KJ.
Great to see you.
Such a delightful human being.
Facts.
But when we talk about kits or jerseys, I love the retro ones for the Toronto Raptors, and I would love for them to wear the purple.
Yeah.
Wear them all day, every day. And that's all I'm going to think about positive a little bit about yesterday's game. It wasn't terrible. Like, yes, people should be a little worried. They took on the Detroit Pistons. They lost. They had a terrible third quarter where the Pistons scored 41. Scotty and Jacoby combined for 8 points, both starters. That should alarm you. Scotty, another 12 dishes. I love. He's passing the rock around great. But they missed their first 10 shots to start the game.
That's not good. It's not advisable.
So not good.
Don't recommend.
And I'm quite aware who was and was not in the lineup for the Toronto Raptors, but I'm also aware who was not in the lineup for the Detroit Pistons, which statistically their best player has been Cade Cunningham. Yeah. And they still really took them to task.
And the Pistons were in OKC the other night, playing on the second half of a back. Like, what a weird travel schedule that is. Go from Oklahoma City to Toronto. So the Raptors, they did have the advantage. I know OKC, Detroit kind of rested a bunch of their starters for that OKC game, but it's the same storyline we've talked about all year. Going up against better competition, how do the Raptors fare? And there were elements of their game that were good last night. Like their turnovers. They won the turnover battle at least through the first few quarters, and then their offensive rebounding, they were ahead. So like some of the indicators of how you should help yourself towards winning a basketball game were in Toronto's favor, but they couldn't hit enough shots, and they allowed the Pistons to score at a 60% clip. So those are things that have to get cleaned up.
A couple of things. There were. Detroit improves to 12-2 on the second night of back-to-back games. So incredible result by that squad. Toronto hasn't won in Detroit in now 5 games, so that's a bit of a vacuum of victories for the Toronto Raptors. And yes, they are moments where their identity shined, like 20 turnovers, which led to 33 points. And what was so promising was the second unit, the role players, when they were down by 20-something points. Coach Rajakovic put in his role players around the 7:25 mark. And they started chipping. They immediately went on a 12-0 run and started chipping back. Jamal Shed was having great reads. He had a nice alley-oop to, right here. He had a nice alley-oop to Sandro Mamukelashvili. He had a nice give and go with Colin Murray-Boyles, who had a nice lay-in. JB Bickerstaff was so concerned that he put his starters back in the game. And yes, they were without Cade Cunningham and Isaiah Stewart, but Jalen Duren had an incredible game. He was 31-12 or something like that.
Duren was ridiculous.
Oh,
he was
so
awesome.
good.
Tobias Harris was great. And Duncan Robinson in the third quarter could not miss that third quarter that you mentioned. They were outscored. They're outscored by 14 points. 3 for 3 from downtown. Jalen Duren was 3 for 3 from the field. That third quarter was it was a turd quarter. It was a nightmare for the Toronto.
Turd
quarter.
And Thursday. We need to trademark both of those.
Okay, so let's get the trademark department send some emails right after the show. But the resolve of the role players was just a nice surprise. Although Toronto had dug itself a big hole, they were only down by 5 at halftime, 56-51. But then third quarter was a nightmare. And one stat after the game that I was watching that goes to your point, Dan, about Toronto. The same narrative continues, not playing well against better teams. Toronto versus the top 3 teams in the East, 1-9 record. The opponents are scoring 117 points per game, minus 13 point differential.
Yeah.
And the opponents are shooting 40% from downtown. That's Detroit, New York, Boston. Toronto plays at Boston April 5th, and Toronto plays at New York on April 10th. So those are obviously big-time games, and those are opponents that Toronto struggles against. We would love to see a win just for confidence and just to say, hey, we can actually compete with these teams on either one of those dates, but that remains to be seen. But there were those role players who weren't on playing with the Raptors 905 last night were important in the fourth quarter because AJ Lawson was great, and well, I suppose AJ Lawson was the one who was.
Yeah, and those 13 points he had, definitely the 905 could have used. But I was happy to see him. The whole goal is for them to be NBA players. The G League was the D League, the development league. You want to see them shine. So I'm happy that when he was there, he got to play significant minutes and he showed out. Mobo, was with the 905 yesterday, as well as Elijah Martin. But you talk about like the role players. Mamukelashvili, what a great find. He has been such a surprise, I think, for almost every fan this season. 16 points, and just he's someone also that I know I talk about vibes a lot. They impact everything. He's a player people root for and his teammates root for, and he's been fantastic. But it also, the turnaround that we've seen from the Pistons in the last season, remarkable. Case studies need to be done on this organization and team, and I am a little afraid of how good Jalen Duren can get. If he's so young and new, everything you're saying.
Yeah, Linz, he was 12 for 13 from down. 12 for 13 overall, just like one of the most efficient games ever. 31 points and 8 rebounds. Just
so good.
I mean, the dude is just and he doesn't even have a mid-range yet or a three-pointer. So once he adds those elements to his game, he'll be so dangerous.
Well, Detroit's a bit of a throwback in that they don't really use the three. I think they use the three less than almost any other team in all of basketball, and they're still damn good. From a Raptors perspective, if you mapped out these final few games of the season, winning against Orlando, winning against the Pelicans, those were the games they needed to lock down one of those playoff spots rather than fall into the play-in. They can lose to Detroit, they can lose to Boston, they can lose to New York and still lock down a playoff spot rather than falling into the play-in. It's just, you're still going to have the confidence, or your confidence is going to be shaken going into any sort of playoff series if they don't fare better against those better teams.
You mentioned mid-range a moment ago, Cabbie, and we have the mid-range king in Toronto tonight, DeMar DeRozan.
Let's go.
Right,
Raps taking on Sacramento Kings, which Dan told me something today. I feel like a jerk. I didn't know this. Dan, do you want to tell Cabbie? You probably already knew this, but the chat might not.
The chat might not. DeMar DeRozan is 20th all time in NBA scoring.
Yeah, it's got some wild stat.
He does not get enough respect on his name when you think 20th. He'll move up.
He's going to move up tonight.
Oh yeah,
he's 8 points behind 19, so he's moving up tonight. It's kind of crazy.
It is crazy. His
I
longevity.
still think he's a baby when he's here with the Raptors, but
it's been a while since we've had DeMar here, obviously, and that trade was the catalyst to getting the Raptors their title, but. For a guy that was a big part of this franchise, and seeing him just continue to score the way that he has, he's been an unbelievable scorer his entire career in the NBA, and to see him now in the top 20 all-time NBA scoring, it's like, man, maybe this guy does have a Hall of Fame case when it's all done.
He's beloved here too. He will, whenever, I'm sure they've done video tributes for him. He will get his jersey retired eventually at Scotiabank Arena. He's beloved. I don't know if there's. I guess Kyle and DeMar. Maybe their jerseys will be retired in the same ceremony because they're so linked.
I couldn't handle that.
Yeah, it's.
It'd be so great.
I don't know who's gonna cry. Maybe Kyle.
DeMar
will cry.
Kyle would cry too.
But it'd be great. He's beloved here, and I'd love to see it. That is surprising, like 20th all time. When Kevin Durant passed Michael Jordan the other day, it's like, well, KD has been an elite scorer for his entire basketball career. So it kind of made sense. But anytime somebody's in the conversation with Michael Jeffrey Jordan, it's still a little bit, you have to take a moment and take that in because Michael is Michael. But DeMar, wow, that's awesome.
It's awesome. It's lovely. And it's one of those things like he's not talked about enough. And maybe in Toronto he is, but in other NBA circles or even in highlight reels, because when you think about that, a lot of people be like, what? He's 20th, soon to be 19th. And KD, it's like constantly an all-star. DeMar has been in the all-star game a couple of times, but man, he's just not talked about enough for his game. Yeah. So...
Yeah, and his footwork in the mid-range, which is the mid-range is making a comeback. I mean, because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that's his bag. I mean, but look at another 40-piece left. Another 40,
I can't handle this, man. It's crazy.
Man, and the MVP race is as competitive in the NBA this year as it is in the NHL. NHL is McKinnon, McDavid, and Kucherov. NBA, it's Wemby, Luka, SGA, and Jokic. Yeah. It's actually more competitive in the NBA because you can make a case for all four of those guys winning the MVP this year and NHL as well. Like McKinnon, he's on the doorstep of 50. I think they're playing tonight. And you know that
Kucherov though.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, we never actually had a debate. Maybe we'll have it tomorrow.
Let's have this debate tomorrow because right now I want to debate. Maybe both of you are going to hit your ProLine pick of the day tonight.
No debate, Linz. We are going to do it.
I like this confidence. The new ProLine app is here. Betting online with ProLine Plus and betting in store with ProLine are both easier than ever with the new ProLine app. Has more sports, more leagues, and more markets than ever. Enjoy more props and same-game parlays all baseball season long on the new ProLine app. Dan, your video's first, so you get to go first.
We were looking at the hardcore tonight, and we were just talking about DeMar DeRozan. We're blowing some people's minds in the chat that he is a top 20 scorer all-time in the NBA back in Toronto tonight. I'm going with DeMar over 18.5 points for the Sacramento Kings against the Raptors tonight.
I love it. I teased it just a few moments ago, the Colorado Avalanche. Approaching the 40-goal plateau for the first time in his career, Martin Necas is cooking in March. 14 games, 10 goals. Colorado beat Calgary by a touchdown on Monday, 9-2, and the Avalanche will be intentionally trying to help the Vancouver Canucks fans achieve their 2026 happy ending by handing them another loss, which gets them closer to drafting Gavin McKenna, Ira Stenberg, or Keaton Vierhoff. Marty Necas for an anytime goal tonight versus the Vancouver Canucks is my ProLine pick of the day. And these are for entertainment purposes only, folks.
Yes.
That's right.
I love that. And for entertainment purposes only, we had a video sent in by one of the off-the-roster viewers that is very shortened, but I just want to make sure I get their account correct. Jay's Land on TikTok. And sent in this video that we are going to shorten that I don't even know how to explain. So if you are listening, go find us on YouTube on Off the Roster. Just play the video.
Yeah, I see it on the screen.
Your stop for everything Jay's Talk and more. And today's show is brought to you by Leafs Land and Jay's Land on TikTok. Your teams, your feeds.
Incoming! Like a milk mustache.
Take a Gudas out.
Eyes do I have?
Okay, I'm out of here. I'm going back to Vancouver.
How many eyes do you have? Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
It's so much longer. Thank you so much for the last week.
It's actually going to be one of the last relics of Sora because that platform is being shut down soon. Sora will no longer exist.
Oh,
sadness.
So thank you. But go find them on TikTok, YouTube. There's more videos. There's a funny one with me and Ernie Clement. And it's just, thank you for making us laugh. Like the video, it's so much longer than we have time for, but you made us laugh. And I don't know about this next photo. He wouldn't tell me. Our producer just wants to say he ran into a Blue Jay. I don't know what this photo is, but we're going
Let's
to
go.
a former Blue Jay. 5 Blue Jays.
Oh,
he's counting us down, but
reveal.
people watching don't know what you're doing. So just play it. Just play it.
That's
he April Fool's us to show Big Chungus.
Oh, that's his dog. So producer Nick's dog.
Oh my God. Nick.
I thought that was a bowl of Captain Crunch at first.
So
that's a Big Chungus.
He's so proud of himself right now. For everyone listening, what happened is he put a picture of his dog up, which I am happy about because his dog's nickname is Big Chungus, and it is the biggest, sleepiest, most beautiful dog ever, and we finally got the dog on the show.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Nick. You guys should see
How do you think Sophia, Michael Jordan, Keith Richards, Dunn, Peterson feels about you calling another dog?
Nailed it.
The
My
most
dog's
beautiful dog in
pissed
the
right
world.
now. My dog is mad. Also, in general, she's mad at me because I've not been home in weeks for like more than a couple of hours. So she's guilt tripping me, and I'm just throwing snacks. But tomorrow, guys, Friday, it's supposed to be, I think, around 20 degrees here in Toronto. And I looked up, like, hey, are there any golf courses open? Because, by the way, we are not on air on Friday. Go rewatch every episode you want. But I was like, oh, maybe I'll go golfing. But it's supposed to be like 60 kilometer mile or whatever winds.
A lot of wind, a lot of rain.
That's going to blow me over. So
British Open style.
Yeah, not doing that.
Got the Masters soon.
But tomorrow, I'm thinking I'm going to bring my clubs to the set because we're going to be talking golf.
Yes, we are. Lawrence Applebaum, Golf Canada CEO, is going to join us.
So we'll see. I'll get him to critique our swings. You're going to want to stick around for that. We're going to be talking about Leafs, Blue Jays, all the fun stuff, and maybe we'll have my dog in studio because our boss is here, and I'm going to go ask him this right now. But real quick, I need a favor from anyone in the chat. I also co-host 6 Inning Stretch with former Blue Jay Whit Merrifield, and he is golfing right now in a tournament with Josh Donaldson, Ryan Getzlaff, Tony Romo, a bunch of guys. So he couldn't do the episode very last minute. So I'm by myself. So please go put in the comments how the episode is so much better without Whit, because that would be amazing. He would hate it, and it'll bring me so much joy. Thanks so much for listening to Off the Roster. We love Whit.
Hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more Off the Roster content, make sure to like and hype this video and subscribe to the Nation Network YouTube channel.